anyways. So, yeah, so the VLOOKUP, there's 3 different kinds of lookup. VLOOKUP is the kind of the one, because databases go down, you tend to do VLOOKUP. HLOOKUP, you can look across, but you just rarely ever have a database where the data is across. So it's quite rare. Lookup actually looks up, can look up in both directions, but it's also quite rarely used. So of those 3 lookup functions, you kind of only ever use HLOOKUP, VLOOKUP. The syntax, you wouldn't be sitting here in this class if you hadn't done this 20 times already. So I'll go over it pretty quickly. The lookup value, table array, column index number, and range lookup. So lookup value is the thing you are seeking. It's the thing you are looking for. Table array is the place you are looking in. So look for this thing in this other list. I'm not even going to show you because I'm sure you've seen it so many times already. The one little odd thing is call index num. So call in every other place in Excel, you give it a cell reference to do something. Whereas call index num, it's an actual, just an index, a number of the column that you want to get the data back from. So, yeah, and sometimes, and really quite rarely, so a table array is a rectangle, quite rarely, but often useful, is to set the call index number to 1. So why would you ever want the call index number to be 1? So you're looking for ABC in a list of things that's got ABC in the first column. Why would you ever want to return the thing that's in the first column? What does that tell you? Exactly. It tells you that the data exists or not. Yeah. So I mean, why would I want to look for 0 in this column and return 0? Well, only if you want to say, does 0 exist in this column? Because if it doesn't, then it'll come back and say, oh, no, there's no 0 there. It'll return an NA. So that's quite useful. And then the funny thing is, VLOOKUP is a multiple personality disorder. You know, it does this really useful thing. It looks up things. It finds the exact value. But it also does this other thing, which is like categorization. It does a range categorization. And that's what this last parameter is. If it's false, which is what you almost always want it to be, you say it only finds the exact match. So when you're doing VLOOKUP is used for joining 2 tables together. It's used for joining the data that's in the column you're seeking for with the table array. If you're joining, then you want to find the exact match. You don't want to say, well, you know, I want Dennis Wollersheim student number 1002 about. And if you can't find Dennis Wollersheim, give me somebody who starts with D. You know, you would rarely ever want that. So that's why false is the exact match. You almost always want that. But the default is true, because that's how Microsoft rolls. It's like, yeah, people are going to be loose about it. You know, case doesn't matter. So you almost always want false, and then the default's true. So if you leave it blank, if you accidentally leave it off, you're going to get a range lookup. It's going to be funny. So this one says, take the value in F2, look in the columns B and C, return me the value that's in column C, and make it be an exact lookup. Yeah, great. So given this person's name, find me their email address. So we'll stick it in column B there. So we say equals VLOOKUP. Open bracket. So we're going to look for Juillet. That's what we look for. And then you press a comma, so you're telling Excel, I'm ready for the next thing. This thing has turned black. It says now you're looking for the table array. And we're going to go look that up in personal info. So we could go into personal info and highlight that whole thing. We could go up to the top and down and then over, using the control arrow keys, and we'd end up with that particular little thing there, A3 to B496. We could have typed that in as well. We could have typed in personal_info exclamation mark A3 colon B496, but it's much easier to point to it And if we did that, we'd have to press F4 at this point, because that gives us it makes it an absolute reference. Why do we make it an absolute reference? Because if we didn't, then every time we copy the cell, that would move down. So that's what I sort of showed you, and most people have been doing that. But there's actually a better way that I'll show you now. Is because we have to make it an absolute reference, that's okay. But because we're doing an exact lookup, an easier thing is to just highlight the actual columns. So we say, now we go from personal info, column A to column B. So basically, it just looks up everything in the column. It's a little bit loose, because it goes all the way to the bottom of the spreadsheet, it goes all the way to the top of the spreadsheet. But if you've designed your spreadsheets well, then they will, that's all that will be in those columns anyways. And then you don't have to press F4, because you don't generally copy sideways, you copy up and down. And that won't change then. So and then we go. The third parameter is the number of the column. So one common mistake here is to put a B in there, or a B1 or something like that. But it isn't. What goes in there is not a B, but actually the number of the column, the count. So count column 1, column 2, and of course the false, which is the thing that's easy to forget. Great. So that goes and looks up GE's email address, returns it. When we copy it, you'll see that we didn't have to worry about making that reference absolute, because it's just copying down, and AB won't change as we go down. You can double click in the corner and fill the whole thing in. Yeah. So, copying absolute references,